Ada for telling my sister that me not giving my child a vintage name doesn't mean she can't. My sister, 33, and I are both expecting our first baby. My sister is super in love with vintage names and for about a decade has talked everyone's ear off about how much she wants to have babies with these names. I know her top 3 names for boys and girls are Edith, Martha, Audrey for girls, and Alan, Harold, Stanley for boys. I'm not sure which of these names my future niece or nephew will get, but I know they are still my sister's top choices. My husband and I are not going for vintage names or classic names. We chose lyric, which is pretty modern and not super common. My sister doesn't know the name yet, but she is aware of some names we chose not to use. We chose not to use names that could be difficult to spell or say based on the spelling. And she was upset we didn't have any vintage names on there. She made all these suggestions, and I told her thanks, but we had a different type of name we wanted. She asked why we didn't want to have the cousins match styles, and she said how cute it would be to have 2 little cousins with matching old people names. She had this idea of doing this photo shoot when the babies are born, where we dress them like grannies/grandpas, and she said the old names would make everything so much more perfect. I stopped talking about it when she did not take no for an answer. I got lists of vintage names, sent articles on how vintage names are in style right now. I ignored it all. She even sent me Instagram and TikTok accounts where influencers have babies with these vintage names, and she's like, "Ooh, look how cute. Doesn't this name sound so sweet for this little baby? Doesn't the vintage name add to the cuteness?" I didn't engage or buy into any of it. Now, my sister is crying and saying, "I'm ruining this." And she commented like she can't use a vintage name for her baby because we're not. I told her just because I'm not giving my daughter a vintage name, it doesn't mean she can't use a vintage name for her baby. I pointed out they are 2 separate people with different parents and don't need to match. She cried, it won't be the same, and why can't I see how dismissive my comment is? Ada?